I don't know how to begin. Maybe it's because I'm still trying to explain all that happened with words like delusion, fatigue, or even depression. But when I close my eyes, those footsteps echo in the hallway again. I'm Michael. I'm 30 years old. I came to Chicago to study architecture. I got accepted to a good university and, on a whim, rented a small apartment in the Bridgeport neighborhood. The building was old, with wooden stairs and doors that could be heard squeaking from a few meters away. From the moment I entered the house, I felt strange, like when you enter an unknown place and everything is very quiet. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. I decided to rent one of the rooms to someone to both relieve myself of loneliness and reduce my expenses. I posted an ad on a local app, and after a few days, I met someone, Jason. Jason was a man of about 35, with short dark hair and stunning eyes. He was very quiet but polite. When he came to see the house, he only had a small backpack with him. He said he had just returned from a trip and was looking for a temporary place to stay. That night I told him he could stay. His first night, though, was strange. It was about 2 a.m. I had just turned off the light when I heard soft footsteps coming down the hallway. I thought it was Jason. It's normal for someone to need a drink or to go to the bathroom at night. But the footsteps took a long time. It was as if someone was pacing up and down in a slow rhythm. In the morning, as I was sitting at the breakfast table, I asked him, "Weren't you able to sleep last night?" He looked at me. He paused for a moment, then said, "No, I was asleep. Why are you asking?" "I thought I heard your footsteps." "No, maybe you heard wrong." At that time, I thought maybe I did hear wrong. But that was just the beginning. From the second week, the sounds got louder. Footsteps, the sound of a door closing, even the sound of something being dragged across the floor. But whenever Jason's door was closed and I heard something, I was sure he was moving. I wanted to knock on his door a few times, but I told myself not to be nosy. Maybe he didn't want me to know what he was doing. But the strangest thing I saw was one night when I was coming back from college. It was around 11 p.m. I entered the house. It was cold and dark. The light in the hallway was on. I turned on the key, opened the door, and went straight to the kitchen. For a moment, I saw Jason standing at the window. My back trembled. I said, "Hello." He didn't come back. He was just standing there, with that little backpack on his shoulder. When I got closer, I realized he wasn't there at all. There was a shadow on the glass, and when I turned on the light, nothing was there. From that night on, Jason's presence became more strange. I saw him less often. When I woke up, it was as if he had left the house. When I came back from college, his door was closed. The light was off, absolute silence. I only heard him walking around occasionally. He wasn't even cooking. The refrigerator was almost always untouched. One night, I couldn't stand it anymore. I went to his room and said, "Jason, are you okay? Do you want to make some coffee?" There was no answer. I put my ear close to the door. There was a sound, a soft whisper. No, make no mistake. This sound wasn't coming from the room itself. It was from the wall behind him. It was like someone was whispering to themselves behind the wall, in the gap between the two units. I backed away. I felt something wasn't right. I knocked on the door. There was no answer. When morning came, I saw that his door was open. I went in. The room was empty. Nothing was there. No clothes, no pillows, no bedding, not his famous backpack. It was as if he had never lived there at all. And from that moment on, everything fell apart. Believe me, if I were in Germany, I would have thrown the key to the landlord. But hey, in a foreign country, with a formal and law-based contract, I couldn't have left like that. I called the landlord. He was an old Irish man who always spoke kindly. "I just wanted to ask if you knew Jason, the roommate I brought in last week." Silence. "Jason, the one who lives with you?" "Well, He's not there anymore, but he was here for a week." He paused for a long time and said, "Son, you're the only tenant in that unit. We didn't register 2 people there." I was shocked. "No, I'm sure. I talked to him. I even let him in." "No one lives with you, son." I was confused. I thought about our conversation, the moments when I had seen Jason. But had I really seen him? Or had I just heard him? Had I hallucinated? I decided to prove everything. There was a security camera in the hallway. I spoke to the building manager and got permission to see the footage from the past 7 days. With my own eyes, I saw every moment I left the house. But no one else came in or out. Not even once was there a picture of anyone who looked like Jason. No one but me. And that's when I felt something inside me collapse. If no one lived with me, then what were all these sounds? What about those nights when I had heard the door open and close? That shadow in the kitchen? Those whispers? From that night on, the sounds came back. Louder, rougher, no longer slow footsteps. It was a thump, breathing, whispers calling my name. I would shake in bed for hours. The light was on, but it was as if darkness had glued itself to the walls. Every night, there was the sound of things being moved, but when morning came, everything was in its place. One night the noise didn't stop. Until the very morning, I heard someone scratching with a fingernail on the wall between 2 rooms. Quiet, rhythmic, and when I got up and went to the wall, there were nail marks on the white paint. But that wall wasn't between my room and the guest room. It was the outside wall of our building. My back froze. On the other side of the wall, there was only space. There was no room on that side. No other place for someone to make that sound. Finally, one night I couldn't take it anymore. I called the police. I think someone's in the house. Either a stranger came in, or, I don't know, something strange. 2 officers came. They looked everywhere. They said the doors were locked. There was no sign of forced entry. But one of the officers said something that made my whole body tremble. "You said you lived with someone, right?" "Yes, a man named Jason." The officer glanced to the corner of the room, then asked, "Do you have his picture?" I was silent. I took out my phone. In all the pictures I thought I had taken with Jason, I was alone. Even the one where I was sure I had dinner with Jason that night was just the dining table, a plate, a glass, and me, alone. Much later, after I left that house, I discovered that the apartment I rented had witnessed a murder years ago. A man named Jason, who lived there, was murdered by his roommate. The reason was unknown. The killer was never found. The neighbors said that the man's spirit was still there, because he never understood why he died. Why did he disappear? And now, hearing those whispers in my ear, I still feel like he's looking for a companion, a new roommate. Maybe you'll be next.